What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our second YouTube live stream for the year. Hope y'all are all doing well. Man, oh man, what a week has been. Y'all drop some ones in the chat if you guys can hear me fine and everything is good. Just want to make sure we're Gucci before we get into things. Feel free to like the stream, do all of that. All right, perfect. I know there's a little bit of a stream delay. I'm not really used to that, to be honest. I'm used to like instant now because of Go Live, but all right, solid. But yeah, how's everybody doing? What do y'all been looking at in the market this week? Really, my main focus has been what we're looking at here. Gold has just been phenomenal. We actually kind of spoke about this last week as well. Looking for price to give us a move to the upside. I know, honestly, dived into a bunch of things from last week. But yeah, gold trading to the upside was something that we were mentioning, right? To continue to see upside bullishness. Yeah, we were in this candle, I think, when I did that stream, right? No, it was the 30th. Oh yeah, so we were like in this candle right here. Yeah, so we had a nice accumulation play off in gold. I think, ideally going into tomorrow, we do have NFP tomorrow. Right, so that's going to be fun. I'm anticipating unemployment rates to go higher. That's what I would like to see. I know here they're forecasting another 3.9. Even with kind of what came out this week, I really do feel that overall with what we've been anticipating overall in the longer term scheme of things, right? We wanted to see higher unemployment claims this week. I think we spoke about all this last week. Yeah, we did. Right, we wanted to see higher job openings, lower job openings, my bad. Right, we want to see lower job openings. We wanted to see higher unemployment claims. And then, on Friday, going into tomorrow, right, do we end up getting our unemployment rates go up to 4% as well? Right, really just going alongside of with what we want to see on the longer term scheme of things. That's really where I feel like the market's going to be headed overall on a fundamental level, right? And, can we see that percentage go up? And if it does, I think that's an amazing thing for gold. I think it's an amazing thing for a lot of assets in general. So really going into tomorrow, if you guys have been tapped in with our go lives and all of that, this week we were really focusing on bullish moves to the upside on gold. And, some of y'all probably, took these buys. Maybe some of y'all partialed above the highs. That was really where my head was at, was to take something off the table. I do have runners running in from some of the lower areas from beginning of this week. Just in case if this does end up rallying. And, the only thing that's kind of holding me back from this whole thought is if we do end up getting our seasonality sell-off. And, that could obviously happen right in here. And if that does happen, then, there's a possibility, obviously, we can get some lower pricing on gold. But I rather, play with the side that gold has been stating overall, and that's been bullishness. Right? So I know last week we were here, we were discussing the shorting opportunities that played out. And then we were talking about looking for longs inside of, some of these daily imbalances. We were also talking about how we would spot wanting to see some sort of lower, volume close here as well to see, price give us that insight for that bullishness. So, gold's been awesome. A lot of the other things you were talking about too have been playing out pretty phenomenally. NASDAQ as well. something else as well that we pointed out from last week, wanting to see bullish movement to the upside, right? And, this is just a testament to, if you have a core understanding of fundamentals and where you want things to go, I think it's just a matter of then, really looking for order flow and entries. And if you guys have challenges in that, or you need help, obviously, in that stuff, that's what we, of course, teach as well. So, that's the other thing I do want to mention as well is that, these YouTube sessions that I'm doing, it really comes down to you guys asking questions and, asking me what areas that you need help in, because, I can just go on talking about whatever on here. But these sessions that are happening weekly is really for each and every single one of y'all. So feel free, to interact with me in the chat box. We can really talk about anything and everything on here. Mindset, psychology behind trading. We can dive down the rabbit hole on here. We can get into, obviously, the chart side of things. We can get into the crypto side of things. We can get into the stock side of things, NFTs. Really the whole 9 yards. So, I know last week I did a better job of promoting, and there's more people on here. I really didn't do that too much of a crazy job this week, to be honest. I was kind of focused on some other things, but, it is what it is. So if anybody is, for the ones that are obviously here live with us, feel free to ask me questions and interact with the chat, right? Because, I look at this, me doing, helping out individuals that obviously can't get access to our academy currently, and, they want to learn about this stuff. This is like, I guess you could say, in a sense of me providing some sort of a public service inside of trading. And, this is my way of helping people out that, aren't a part of our community, and maybe, they are looking for a community. And, so let's get into it. Okay, here we go. Best red folder news and what means what. I got you. So when it comes to red folder news, the news events, that the fact that it's a red folder, yes, that does state that it could be a volatile event. But when you're looking at, because this is all fundamental news, right? When you're looking at fundamentals, you really want to understand the narrative of what's going on, right? So, for example, just even speaking about this week, right? If you've been somebody that, like, let's say was on the stream last week, or, maybe you're a student that's a part of our education, right? You know that we've been anticipating higher unemployment rates, right? And if you have that understanding of us anticipating higher unemployment rates, some of the things that we could be looking out for this week, right, is lower job openings, which ended up coming out on Tuesday, right? This is what we preemptively anticipated. We also wanted to see Thursday, which was today, of course, we wanted to see higher unemployment claims. So, unemployment rates itself obviously means the amount of people that are being unemployed, right? The percentage of the amount of people that have been unemployed. So generally, when you have higher unemployment rate, right, this could obviously give you signs that, especially things like gold, NASDAQ, hard assets, you would see the market overall trade higher in those areas. If we weren't in the dollar environment that we are in now, you would expect dollar to sell off as well. But, there's some other factors with dollar that, that's like a whole nother conversation I'm not trying to get into like right now to answer your question. But, that's kind of, how unemployment rates play a role. Now, especially with where we are at in the cycle, higher unemployment rates can then start to indicate to us potentially that we could start seeing rate cuts coming into the future. And if rate cuts do happen, which we're already seeing rate cuts happen in other currencies, right? Euro cut its rates today, right? They cut their rates today. The CAD cut their rates the day before, right? Where we saw the Swiss franc cut their rates. So this is very bullish news for asset classes, right? Gold, silver, equities, U.S. equity classes, right? Stock market, indices, that type of stuff. Crypto, of course, is a part of that. This really brings bullishness to those assets. So let's say if you're somebody that's investing long term, these are some of the things you want to see as an investor, right? Because if you're somebody that is looking to invest into the market, if there is high interest rates, or not only just high interest rates, but the market is continuously increasing rates, that is more likely of a chance that holding to dollars is more of an ideal play at the moment. Whereas once you start seeing higher unemployment rates come out, let's say lower CPI numbers, and as well in this case scenario, you see unemployment also getting worse, this can then start to indicate to you that rate cuts are amongst us. And if rate cuts happen, well, think about it. If, currently right now, what are we sitting at, like 5 point something percent interest rates on the US dollars rates? Why would anybody want to really hold on to dollars at that point? If rates start cutting, it would make more sense because you'll be making more money for the market, right? Investing in the market. So that's the way I look at it with fundamentals. But hopefully that made sense. If there's anything in particular you want me to dive into, that's some of the stuff that I really pay attention to, overall fundamental understanding. But some of the news events that I do pay attention to, I think I do have a little... Do I have a text saved with all this? No, I don't. Okay, well, I pay attention to unemployment data. All right, so unemployment claims, job openings, unemployment rates. Those are some of the things that I pay attention to. CPI, federal funds rate, and as well as their conference. And yeah, those are the main red folder news that I pay attention to, right? PPI, of course, as well. Yo, what's good? I forgot to give you all a shout out. What's good? Critical Pips. We got Ray in the house. Christian, what's good? Ariel, Chris, what's poppin'? How do you overcome a losing streak? And when you are on a winning streak, how do you keep your ego in check? Man, we're a human, and, that's something that you still got to tame sometimes, Like, I've been on a pretty crazy winning streak, and I'm anticipating me to go into some sort of losing streak soon, but every time I think that's going to happen, I end up just having a good week. So it's just like, I know it's coming. So it's like, so this is the way I look at it, right? Let me answer the first part of your question. To overcome a losing streak, I don't even look at it as overcoming it. It's more of surviving a losing streak, right? Because at the end of the day, trading and investing, this whole sector really comes down to capital preservation, right? So it's like the longer you're able to last in the game, the better. Let's say, for example, if you're going into a point where, personally for myself, when it comes to risking, I don't risk higher unless if I have a cushion that I've built, right? So, for example, like this week I risked more than what I did last week, because last week I already started to develop a cushion for this month, and I was willing to risk more than what I usually do. On top of that, there was more of like a fundamental understanding and all of that. If there's more confluence, more understanding, I will, risk more. And, I'll do that. But when it comes to a losing streak, well, first off, identify what is causing the losing streak, right? Like, are you over trading, for example? Are you taking setups where, let's say, not all of your confirmations are on the board, right? You're just taking a setup for the sake of taking a setup. I would study, your losses, but I also go back and study your winners, right? Because, a lot of people say don't study your winners, but to me, it's like you want to study your winners because that way you know what you're doing well at, and then to stick to those particular trades, those types of trades, because there's probably a certain entry model you're using. There's probably like a fundamental backing behind it, something along those lines, right? Obviously, there's a bunch of different case scenarios, but that's kind of the thing I would focus on. and start to see, like I said a second ago, is what is causing that losing streak. So what are your losses? And let's say if you are going in a crazy losing streak, it really depends on where your account and stuff is at too. Because for me, like, let's say if my account is in drawdown, or initial, if you're trading on a personal account, let's say it's lower than your balance or something like that, I'm very conservative in the beginning. So, personally for myself, and none of this is financial advice, of course, but personally myself, I risk, it really depends on the account that I'm trading on, but I'll risk anywhere from, in the very beginning, especially if I'm in drawdown or I'm building a cushion, I'll literally risk anywhere from 0.1 to 0.25% of my account. And then once I have a cushion, then I'll be a little bit more aggressive. Let's say if I'm a couple of percent in profit on the account, then I'll start to be a little bit more aggressive and more lean towards 0.25, possibly even 0.5. And once again, it's like I'll only risk more on certain positions depending on, what's there for my analysis. Like, for example, let's say if you have seasonality, you have technicals behind your back, right? You have, let's say you have volume behind your back, you have fundamentals behind your back. Those types of positions, especially if there's a cushion built, I'll be a little bit more aggressive compared to, let's say if you're taking like a scalp / intra-session trade, I'll be less aggressive on my risk. So, that's what I'll do. Identify your losing streak, see where you're messing up, and then, like I said, study your winners. And then the second part of your question, when you're on a winning streak, how do you keep your ego in check? I kind of shared my answer for this, when I started off answering this question, is like, even right now, like, I've been on a winning streak. So like, I'm almost preemptively prepared if shit hits the fan. So one thing I'll do is I'll make sure I withdraw out of the market. That's just, I look at trading as a tool to, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with compounding. Obviously you can compound your account, do all of that. But just where we're at in the market too, I'm more using trading right now, and especially because I have, other streams of cash flow and stuff as well. It's like I'm using trading more of a way to create more cash, and I'll just use that cash, hold on to it, and then buy things at discounted price levels. So, the thing that I do to tame myself on a winning streak is I'll literally, like, for example, I took the longs on NASDAQ. I also took the longs on gold. And, once NASDAQ created all-time highs for me, trading the longs from here, and yesterday I ended up buying in on some companies, right? Tesla was one of the things that I bought. I continue to stock on my Coinbase position, right? So, it's like I'll take those profits and I'll move it into something else. So I'm not putting myself in a situation where, if I am on a winning streak, then at least I'm taking something off the table and diversifying it, right? So that's one thing I'll do. And to like keep your ego in check, I feel like this is something people need to experience, because I've experienced times where I'm like, yo, like, drop some ones in the chat if you guys can relate to this. You're in a winning trade or multiple winning trades, and you you get into a point where like, yo, I'm freaking unstoppable. I'm not going to hit no stop loss. I'm going to continue to win, right? And then literally the next trade you take, the market humbles your ass, right? And you end up hitting your stop loss, right? I've had that happen to me. Where I've not only taken one loss, but consecutive losses. So for me personally, to answer that, like, it's like, I feel like you gotta really experience that, so that you gotta let the market almost, I don't know, like, I learned, there's certain things that like my mentors told me, but even though they told me, I still had to mess around and find out for myself, right? You know, I'm actually going to go ahead and pull this up here. Like sometimes you just got to do this, right? Sometimes you just have to.
Talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide how much do we want to find out. So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph and I come horizontally to my gradient line. Where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. Now there is going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful.
Right, and people look at that as a meme, but I literally, like, that's like a literal thing for me, you know? I truly do believe that, you know, in some cases you do need to fuck around to find out, right? And that's just the reality of things. So, you know, you do need to, because me personally, I mean, I'm just speaking from my personal experience. I've gone on winning streaks, and then, you know, I've gotten humbled by the market, and then now that that's happened to me so many times, now I've been able to deal with it better on a psychological level, and on a, you know, on a managing risk level too. Because, you know, let's say, you know, you're on a streak or whatever, and then you continue to risk more than what you generally do because you're up so much on your equity compared to your balance or your original balance, right? Your equity curve is up, and then, you know, you now are like, okay, I'm gonna risk more because you're so much up on your equity curve. And then, you know, maybe it goes your way for a couple of trades, and then that third or fourth trade you take, you know, third trade loss, and you're like, all right, you know, I'm going to bounce back, and then the fourth trade loss, and then fifth, you know, and then now you're spiraling down. I had to, like, literally fuck around and find out about that, because now it's just like, okay, now that happened to me. Now the next time around, if I am going on a crazy winning streak, like, I'll create multiple cushions on my account too. You know, I first start, like, let's say if I start a new account and, you know, I'm fresh on the account, I'll create a cushion for myself. Once I create that cushion, depending on the setup and stuff, I'll play more aggressive, whatever have you, but then I'll withdraw. Still leaving a cushion there, or I'll throttle my risk back, so I start developing a cushion again, and then I'll be a little bit more aggressive, grow the account, and then that's just kind of how I've been moving, and that just works for me. You know, but that's the other thing too, is I can say whatever I want, but everyone's going to have their own thing. Like, some people are very systematic, and they're very systematic with their risk, that, okay, every single trade, I'm going to risk this much amount no matter what it is. And hey, if that works for you, go for it. But, you know, for me, what I've noticed is when there's certain setups and certain things, I'm, you know, just because of the confidence level and because I've seen it. And that's the other thing too, like, when you gain more experience, that also is going to be different for you, right? Because the way you check yourself is going to be different. Because, yeah, you just, you know, like that guy literally said in the video, and I know some of y'all look at that as a funny thing, but he is speaking facts. Like, it's like, literally, the more you mess around is the more you're going to find out. And in trading, you truly do, in investing, you truly do need to mess around to find out. You do. That's because, and, you know, you're dealing with money as well. So it's like you kind of have to. That's like the only way you can truly learn. So, you know, hopefully that answered your question. I would also recommend the book Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. I think that book, it's a very short read. That book is a banger. But yeah, you know, I see we do have some more viewers on here, so feel free to ask me questions. You know, these sessions are for y'all, so let's get right into it. This is doing amazing. The mining company sector be doing lit. Can you elaborate on how you properly review your trades and journal, whether it's for the day, week, or month? Yeah, I got you. So the way that I approach my journal, I have everything on Notion. Like you guys can create templates and stuff. I mean, if you guys want the actual template, you guys can just go on like Mike Navarrette's Instagram, and then you can find that because it's his template that I use, and you can use Notion. That's what I use, and so obviously there's the fact of you tracking the trade. You'll obviously like drop the link of your before and afters and stuff, your confirmations, and maybe you elaborate a little bit on the actual reason why you took the setup, be it whatever your confirmations are, right? Structure, higher time frame structure, lower time frame structure. Maybe you're implementing some volume in there. You type in your fundamental confirmations. Then you dive into like really whatever your confirmations are, right? What's getting you into the setup. So I have all of that there at the top. And then what I'll do is also create notes at the bottom. So for every day, any thought that I have, I will jot it down. Like while I am essentially actively trading. I got my whole setup here at home. I personally don't really like to travel and trade much. When I do travel, if anything, I'll literally create a separate account for it. Just because I have a very systematic approach to my trading. Some people think my setup is very excessive, but hey, it's what works for me. Like for example, like I have 8 screens, right? So my closest screen here to my right of me right here, this is like my executing screen. Well, one of my executing screens, because I will trade with multiple different platforms and brokers and stuff. So I'll have one here. Depending on if I'm trading on some other brokers and stuff, there's some other screens that I use here for executing as well. And then the next closest screen, which is right up here, is my journal screen. That screen always has my journal on it. So like I said, like any thought that comes through my mind. So let's say, I have a setup marked up on gold, right? I'll write down every single thought while I'm going through that thought process. Okay, so let's say if I'm looking for an entry on gold, and, this was my thought process today on gold, right? So on my notes, first thing I did when I'm usually trading with gold and silver, I'll first take a look at XAU, XAG just to see which one's weaker or stronger for the day. And I saw that, XAU, XAG, this was something that we had marked up from Go Live, right, from this week, where we had this potential distribution that was going to, give us a move down lower. So that was hinting out to me that, hey, silver could be potentially the stronger one than gold. So that being the case, I was open to the idea that gold could run its low of the day today, right? Which was essentially right here, right? That was gold's low of the day today. So, I had that marked up. I then also wrote down in the journal, I waited for the news to hit first. So I was like, hey, I'm anticipating higher unemployment claims to come out, just like how I stated earlier on in the week. I'll also refer to my Go Lives as well a lot because I look at that as a way of journaling as well because I talk about my analysis on there. So I'll even go back and even watch my recording or whatever sometimes. But anyways, I have the low of the day marked. And then let's say, for today, for example, I spotted this 1 hour absorption on this candle. So once that happened, I'll write that down. And then I'll talk myself through the entire process. So once I got a 1 hour absorption, you guys know generally I'll look for a 1, 3, 5, or 15-minute break of structure. Once the low of the day hit, I played the 1 minute break of structure. I didn't play the first break. I played the second break. So my entry was in here, right? Because it broke this and then it came back, and then it started to move. So I got in here in this range. And, then I talk myself through it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to continue to hold my position. Price has now created a new higher high. There's still imbalances left behind. Maybe we get a retracement, and then price did end up retracing. So like every single thought that I'm going through, I'll journal it. Let's say, for example, I want to break even or do things like that. Like I'll write everything down. If I feel anxious that the trade is not going to play for me, like literally while price was doing a bunch of this, I was feeling a little sketched out, but then I also was calming myself down by writing it in the journal because I'm like, hey, look, at the end of the day, gold just broke a 15-minute high. Most likely it's retracing back so it can expand and trade higher. So like I'll literally talk myself through the entire process and I'll journal that down, right? And that's why I have it literally on my screen. Like my notes for my journal even today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have like 30 lines worth of words here, okay? Like I'm going through like everything, right? So let's say if I even have emotions on anything that is going through my mind, I'm putting it on there, right? Because I really look at journaling as a very important part of trading because it can really, because at the end of the day, no matter who you watch or who you study or who you get your buys from, it really comes down to you, right? And how you react to the market. So that's why I'm very keen on my journaling. And I've noticed personally for me, when I note all of this stuff down and I go back, it helps me because, obviously you can win and lose a trade on a technical level, but sometimes you do lose a trade because of like emotional tendencies and stuff like that too. And the way I look at it is the only way you can bring yourself self-awareness to that is if you, really go back and look at this stuff. And that's how I look at the journaling side of things to keep myself in check. So yeah, that's kind of how I'll write out my journals. And then when it comes to reviewing, because I'm so like thorough with what I type and what I do, on the day, let's say if I had a bad trading day or whatever, I'll go back and reflect on that. If I had a good trading day, I'll go and see what I did well on. So, at the end of the day, it's all self-awareness because then you start to see what you do well on, maybe some of the setups that you lost on, maybe now you know where to work on your weaknesses, or better yet, maybe even avoid those setups altogether. And then it starts to tell you like about the weeks and stuff too. One thing that, and I mean, I think you guys have now noticed this about me as well. For some of the OGs that have been watching me, you guys know Wednesdays is generally the worst trading day for me. And yesterday was actually a pretty phenomenal trading day for me. So it's like I started to now learn where I was messing up on Wednesdays, and now I'm more patient on Wednesdays compared to any other day. And I've actually gotten better now on Wednesdays. They're not my worst trading day anymore. So like these are the things you can now notice, because when you have a thorough journal like that, you can start to see where you're making those mistakes and start to tweak things. So I'll do like a review on myself on a daily, weekly, monthly level. I'll look back on my journal on a quarterly level. Shit, I'll even go back and look at my previous trades that I took years ago too, just to remind myself of what I did well on and what I can do better on. Like seasonal trades too. Like this year, I did way better holding oil. Like oil was one of the positions that I took for my students that are here. You guys know that oil was one of those buy positions we were looking at from January, February time. And this was literally one of my best swings that I took this year, right? I grabbed in February, even added on in March, and I did the right profit taking and everything. And I also exited how I was supposed to exit. But what I could have done better on is my analysis was to exit all of my buys out here. But then I failed to look for the shorts here, right? I failed to take the short here. So that's what I could have done better on. So it's like, yeah, I got, a few with multiple entries stacked. I mean, this was really like thousands of pips, depending on which entry and stuff that I was taking, right? I took multiple entries. And I did great in that sense, but then I was still able to notice where I went wrong. Gold even as well. Like gold is something that I'm gonna kick myself in the head for, because I followed my plan, but I could have done way better and left a runner, because I kind of knew that this was gonna happen with gold, and we were probably gonna enter this part of the cycle, and just gold just continues mooning, and I let go of my entries. I let go of my December entry. I let go of my February 14th entry, even though I was still supposed to hold this for long term. But hey, you live and you learn and you do better, right? I wasn't able to hold any of these bottom entries just because of all that broker BS that was happening in the U.S. Reason why I've switched to futures now, so I don't have any issues holding stuff. But yeah, that's what you notice, right? So I'll even go back and I'll study previous years and quarters of my trading as well, and start to dissect where I'm going wrong and whatnot. Can you do a top down on any pair you would like on the weekly, daily, 4 hour down to the smaller time frame? This would all be hindsight at this point, but yeah, I can do that. I'm just gonna do gold because this is the one that I was really looking at this week, and this was really my focus for the week. But yeah, daily on gold, we did make a new high. Right, so on a structural basis, I anticipate a higher low to then create a potential higher high. Once that happened, this is something that we had marked up from the last YouTube stream as well, I believe. I do so many streams in the week that I don't even remember which streams I talk about what, to be honest. But, we have this volume marked up. And then, we were talking about if price closes below this low with less buy volume, that could then, or sell volume, that could probably indicate to you that we're going to start turning bullish. So once I notice that on a daily time frame, I'll then go into 1 hour, 4 hour. And if I'm in a daily zone and a daily point of interest, I'll wait for a 1 hour or 4 hour break. So in this case scenario, right, we did break 1 hour structure to the upside. Right now, this was actually where I messed up this week on Tuesday. I took a nice sell from here to here, but I failed to enter on the longs here. So I actually missed this bottom entry on gold. But anyways, once this hourly price broke, you're now going to expect a higher low. This is where I should have taken an entry, but I didn't end up taking it. But then the market confirmed to me my bias, right? It created another high. So then once this high was created, now I break it down into the 5 and 15 minute, right? And you can see here, based off of that hourly structure, we created a new high. This was the range I was looking at. And I was paying attention to New York's price action because I don't trade London. I'm not up. I'm, dreaming and manifesting me living on a private island during those times, right? But once I'm up in New York, once that news happened, this was, I believe it was job openings, right? It was job openings, right, on Wednesday. Yeah. So job openings came out. Wait, I'm tripping. No, was that job openings? Am I on the right date? Okay. Wednesday. Job openings was it? June 5th. Yeah, that was Wednesday. Okay. Unemployment. When was job openings, dude? Was that Tuesday? Oh, that was Tuesday. Okay. So, well, the Tuesday news came out. So that already confirmed the bullishness. But then Wednesday, we had... okay, that's what it was. Yeah, we had PMI. My bad. I kind of messed up my news events there. So then PMI came out. This was that sell candle for PMI. Showed absorption. So then, once it entered into this 15-minute candle is when I then looked for the entry. So... you could have entered off of, just that, and that's what I did. So generally, I'll look at daily, weekly time frame. I'll also have a fundamental understanding of what I'm looking at. I think fundamentals are a very important part of learning how to trade and all of that as well because, some people say you don't need fundamentals, and I guess you don't if you're going shorter term. But even if you're going shorter term, why not go in the side of the market that the market's going overall? And I think fundamentals help you understand that because you're going to reap more of a reward. Like, for example, I do know people that shorted metals today, right? And there are also people that live on the other side of the world, so it made sense. But, generally New York does have the most amount of liquidity in the market. I mean, even if you go look at the foreign exchange market or really any market, the U.S. banks and institutions are some of the biggest ones that are bringing the most amount of liquidity into the market environment. So that's why I'm a New York trader. So I'll pay attention to what's happening then. But yeah, that's how I break it down: daily, weekly. I will look at the monthly too. But yeah, look at the higher time frames, get a bias, have a fundamental understanding as well, and then 1 hour, 4 hour to show me breaks. I really rarely will execute off of a 4 hour. There are times where I'll execute on a 1 hour. It really depends on the setup and what's going on. But majority of the time, I'm executing on some of these lower time frames: 30, 15, 5, 3, 2, or 1. It really depends on the setup. But yeah, that's kind of how I move. How do you make your volume indicator not move? Mine gets in the way of my candles. I got you. So if you go on the, once volume is added up here, you can go into its little settings thing, or not the settings, but click the three dots, and it'll say, for me it doesn't say it right now, but say move to existing pane below. Mine's is already below, so that's why the option isn't there, but on your screen it will be there, and then it will just stay stationary. When you try to spot a low or high of the day, do you go off Asia and London session? Low and high of the day is literally the low and high of the day. I know I just answered the question with your question, but what I mean by that is, where's the lowest part of the day that it traded, right? So, for example, the market opened here, right? So the market opened here, and then this was the lowest point, and then this was our highest point. So relative to where we were at in New York session, so New York session obviously traded below the low of the day, right? So, and I mean, this is technically Asian session, right? If anybody doesn't know the other indicator that I use, this is called sessions, and it just tells you what session it's in, right? So white is the Asian session, Sydney/Tokyo. Green is start of London. Brown is the start of New York. End of brown is the end of London, and then pink is the end of New York. So, but yeah, that's how I'll look at low and high of the day. Right? So, for example, here, right, this was essentially your low of the day at the time, right? And then price expanded, created a new high, and then it came back, and then it did its thing. So, it's really dependent on, where we are at in the session or for the day itself, but it's like an added confirmation. Let's say if we're bullish fundamentally and then the market just sells off and it gives an absorption, to me the reason why they're even bringing price down so low for the low of the day is because they want to wipe everyone out before the move. That's how I look at it, but in some cases that won't even happen. You don't even have to take out the low of the day. Sometimes London will make the low of the day, but then price will break. This was my entry on NASDAQ, was in here. And this was literally like a 15-minute entry for myself, right? And, it was like price gave me a break and then I entered, right? It also gave me like a little mini structure in between when I did this. And then, on the retracement, look for the entry. And then my other entry was nowhere near the low or high of the day anyways. Like the low of the day was already taken in London, right? Actually, no, my bad. This was the low of the day. And then price made a new high. London came back, retraced, and then we rallied. So in this case scenario yesterday, I mean, I simply just traded the absorption. But yeah, that's just how I played that. How do you feel about GameStop and what's going on? Do you think Roaring Kitty is a part of them now? So, GameStop was something I was actually debating to get into, especially after a retrace, but I just didn't end up pulling trigger on it. It's also kind of hard for me to put money behind some of this stuff sometimes, to be honest. Because I used to play a lot of, projects in the past where it's just, I don't, really believe in them, but I just bought them because of hype and all that stuff. And hey, don't get me wrong, I did win on some things, but I also just got wrecked on certain things. So now it's just like if I don't really see the vision with something, I don't really care to get into it. Like okay, so here's the other thing, right? Let's just think about GameStop and regular. I mean, what is it? It's a gaming store where people buy video games. I can't even remember the last time I walked into a store and bought a video game. Like literally the most recent console that I even bought, and this is not even really recent, it was like 2 years ago, was a Nintendo Switch. And I ordered it online. Like I'd even walk into a store and buy it. The games that I buy, either I buy them online or I'll literally just install it from the game store. So I don't like it's like GameStop to me is like Blockbuster. Like I really don't think GameStop is going to last long term. Hey, I could be wrong. I don't know what they plan on doing with it in the future, but it's like that's how I think when I'm investing behind something. Like I want a use case behind it. That doesn't mean GameStop can't make you money. I mean, there's people that are making bags off of this, right? I didn't buy into it. It's just because of that understanding, like it's hard for me to fathom holding on to this because at the back of my head, I would be worried about holding money into this. And even if I were to put money behind this, I would probably not even bet the same amount I bet on certain other projects that I see long term. Like maybe I'll throw like $1,000 at this, but I wouldn't be convinced enough to put like 5 or 6 figures into this. It's just not my cup of tea in that sense, But hey, that doesn't mean you can't make money on it. And to answer the second part of the question, do you believe they're a part of them? I mean, just looking at past events, if you guys know who Michael Burry is, the individual, they made the whole movie on Big Short about. I swear he got paid. When was it? Oh, man. Can't even remember when this was. I think it was in here. I think it was this sell-off. I can't remember exactly when it was, to be honest. But Michael Burry somewhere on S&P, he's like, yo, I'm short this much on S&P, which, I mean, he did make his money off of it. But he was like saying how the stock market's going to crash, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. And a bunch of people did cause a lot of selling pressure for that. But inevitably, that just caused a more longing opportunity. And he actually ended up deleting his Twitter or suspending his Twitter or something after he tweeted that. So, due to the fact that these people do have, I mean, hey, they had that guy had a solid trade. I mean, Roaring Kitty had a solid trade. He made a bag. But I do feel that, just think about it this way. Let's say if you have millions of followers, right? Just think about it hypothetically. You have millions of followers and people that follow you. And, you have influence. What amount of dollars would you need for just because you have your influence and, the market makers now want to make something happen in the market? How much would they need to pay you for you to tweet or say something on your social media? Because anybody, there's a certain dollar figure that can be said to them for them to do that, right? So maybe, I don't know, maybe that's the same thing for Roaring Kitty. Maybe I'm completely wrong and this thing does do great, but I just can't see it long term. That's just me personally, but I mean, hey, maybe it does freaking go and create new all-time highs again. I mean, who knows? For me with GameStop, just like those examples that I just showed you, like I've literally have not went in a store and bought a video game. I don't even think I've been inside a GameStop because I just recently, moved down to the States and stuff. But it's like I haven't even been inside of a GameStop. So, it's like I also believe in investing in things that you truly see the longer term vision into things as well. And that's just me though. That's just my thoughts. Whereas let's say something like Tesla, I mean, I see the future for that. I can see that. I'm a heavy gamer, and the last time I went was to sell my 360. Yeah, I feel that. I mean, I play a lot of video games too, man. Like, literally, I played well, like 2 hours of gaming today, and probably after I'm on the stream, I might run one more game, and then probably go hang out with the wifey or whatever, and then knock out. But it's just like I just literally haven't walked inside of a game store in a very long time, so I just I really can't see this. If I were to buy it, I mean, it would have made more sense to buy it. On some of these lower areas now, I can't really fathom trying to get in at these prices. I think post market, it's already up at like $60 or something dollars already. But yeah, that's just my thought there. It's just a meme stock, basically, just like all the other. Yeah, that's the way I look at it too, in a sense. But hey, meme coins also, you can still make money off them though. I mean, I bought some Doge. I'm not holding anywhere near my entire position anymore, but I have some Doge that I'm holding on to. Outside of that, I bought this thing too before because a buddy was telling me about it. I literally only put like $40 in this thing though, but I got out. I think I bought in like in here or something. And that's the thing, like when I play these meme coins and stuff like that, like I just can't put like a full investment idea amount of capital behind it. So I'll literally just put around, like mess around money in it, and I put like 40 bones into this. This is I don't really want to say the name of this because it's kind of fire to say it. I'm just going to pull it up. And you guys can see why it's super fire to say this, but right. But hey, I put 40 bones into this. It turned into like 4 bills, and then I just got out, Like, hey, I added a 0 onto it. Okay, there's like 2 weeks worth of groceries. Cool. Right? But for me to like long-term hold something like this, I don't know. I can't fathom that. I just can't. Hard for me to see that. I don't even. This was another meme I played back. This is a meme that I played back in the day with. Holy, this thing got wrecked. Yeah, this was a meme I played too before. 20. It's not even the right chart. I don't even think I can pull up the right chart for this. But yeah, I played this too. But yeah, it's like all in and out plays, and I just can't put a crazy amount of liquid into it. It just it just doesn't make sense for me. But yeah, family, I don't know if anybody has any other questions. Oh. Yeah, let's see if we get that higher unemployment tomorrow. Let's see if gold potentially moons. If not, then it sells off and gives us a better buy going into later on in June, which, I mean, I'm fine for that. Now I'm waiting to see what NASDAQ is trying to do too. I'd like to see if NASDAQ can give us retracements again as well and just continue to throw this thing to the upside. Maybe it gives us a retracement on this range. Starts developing liquidity here and then distributing. That would be nice. And we'll see. I would really need a solid 1 hour or 4 hour break to get me into shorts on this. Otherwise, I'm not trying to short this. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I would need price action like this to be able to be even anywhere near confident to try to short. Like, what was happening in here? All this. Otherwise, no thank you. Even when this happened, I wasn't even shorting it. I was just waiting for the long anyways. Yeah, that's some things I'm going to be looking out for. What projects are you most excited about going into 2025? Bitcoin, Coinbase, and ICP. I would say those are like my. I'm also excited to see what VV does too, to be honest. They're supposed to be releasing a bunch of stuff. ICP and VV is all based off of like gematria and numerology. It said that ICP is supposed to have a crazy year in 2025. So let's see, because they've been the price has been just chilling. So yeah, I think those are some of the big ones, and Tesla too. You know, those are some of the projects that I'm most excited for. All right. So I guess we'll leave things off there. Appreciate y'all for hopping on. You know, feel free to hit that like button. I'd much appreciate that. And feel free as well to share this info. If you do obviously want to gain more knowledge and possibly even mentorship for myself, you know, if you guys go on my page, under my view channel, there's a website. Feel free to apply on there, and you can obviously apply to become my own personal student. And yeah, we can go from there. So love and appreciate y'all. Thank you for hopping on here. And I will see each and every single one of y'all next week for another session. Peace.